your name and your address for the record on there as you do. I think Amanda had mentioned that she wanted to make a public comment. So Amanda, we'll turn the time to you.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me all right?
Got it.
This is Amanda Podmore calling in from Bluff, Utah. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comment during these challenging times. I know that not everybody has equal access to internet or the ability to comment right now during the COVID-19 pandemic, so thank you. I am concerned about the September 2020 BLM oil and gas lease sale that proposes to lease about 24,000 acres in San Juan County near Canyonlands, near very sensitive rock art sites, and within 1 mile of the original Bears Ears National Monument boundary. So I have 2 requests of the commission today. The first is regarding the draft letter to the BLM that's on agenda item 5.I. I ask the commission not approve the letter unless they make several changes. I recommend striking the paragraph about expediting oil and gas in the San Juan County Energy Zone, specifically because of the sensitive Barrier Canyon style rock art or rock story sites in the area that need careful consideration, not expediting. Then I request that the county ask the BLM to defer this lease sale until the national health emergency has lessened and the oil and gas market has rebounded. Currently, the county and state are not poised to make very much revenue from this sale with such a depressed energy market. These parcels will likely sell for the minimum bid of just $2 an acre. I think it would be better for the county to wait and allow for higher state revenue and also more equitable access to public comment. And my second request of the county is regarding the county's Section 106 status on the lease sale under the National Historic Preservation Act. That's the NHPA. I asked that the county hire an archaeologist to do a full survey of the proposed parcels in the lease sale. Barring that, I believe it is in the best interest of the county and the protection of its history to not agree with the draft cultural resources report that the BLM gave them. The report says that there will be no adverse effects on cultural resources. But if the parcels aren't surveyed and if the county doesn't hire an archaeologist to look at those parcels, there's really no way for the county or the BLM to truly understand what cultural resources are at stake, and therefore they cannot concur with this finding. The county's comments on this cultural resources report are due July 27th. I urge you not
I'm not seeing anybody else. Nobody else is mentioned in the chat. Got several other members of the public, but nobody's coming forward. I'll do a last call.
First call for the next one. But we do have the comments there, right?
Just Amanda's. That was it.
All right. Well, I guess that will conclude our public comment this morning. Thank you very much, and we will certainly browse around and consider it. The next item on the agenda is that we have all the last meeting minutes, and I'm sure that the commissioner has reviewed that. If so, I'd like to have a motion.
I just want to understand.
Okay, come on,
motion with the amendment. Okay, a motion with the amendment. Do I have a second?
Okay, well, I didn't quite understand. There was a motion with an amendment?
Yeah, he said the motion and amendment, so we had to establish the second supporting motion, and then we go back to him and see what the amendment is.
Okay, well, I'd like to know what the amendment is before I second it.
On this, well, this is a consent.
It's an amendment. I guess it's changed.
On the consent agenda.
It's correction.
we should approve all these at the same time unless there's some.
Mac?
Okay, there was,
Here we have the meeting.
I think on this, where this is a consent agenda,
You have
let me go through all of those on the consent agenda
food service
and then
program contract. This is a
see if we should approve all these at the same time unless there's something you want to pull off. But on here, we had the meeting minutes, check registers. You have the Summer's Food Service Program contract. This is an amendment. You could write it on there as a consent item. That this summer food service program was an increase to our original budget by $230 in federal funds. So now the new total funding is $960. And this contracted amendment allows our public health department staff to go out and inspect the participating summer food service programs, inspect their food service preparation and distribution of those. And then the next one, you have the public health department vehicle purchase. This was a purchase that we had emailed you, and we were asking for your authorization to purchase it, and then we'd bring it back for ratification. So we got an agreement here for $48,785.36 for that vehicle purchase. Just to remind you, this was at the end of the fiscal year, which for the state ended June 30th. We were able to get an allowance from the state for us to do a bulk purchase of remaining funds that were allocated to the public health department. Due to COVID, they weren't able to expend their funds. This is their home health visits, things that they do out to the public. And because COVID took all their resources and took their time and attention, they weren't able to expend their original grant funds. And so the state allowed us bulk purchase, and so we purchased a vehicle with those funds, but we had to do so before the end of June. And so that's why you see that today. And then you have the application and contract for $11,000. That's the library grant. This is another CARES Act grant that the library was able to obtain. And so we definitely appreciate the work of Nicole, our library director. She was able to get this. This is for the Montezuma Creek and Bluff libraries for their digital projects at those satellite branches. And then the next one is you have the Cal Black Memorial Airport IFE. The total on that, and this is kind of a small purchase for $1,100. Remember back when we were going through the design application and everything, I mentioned that we'd like to try to get the construction management also included in that application this year. And so this IFE correlates to having Javiation, who is our consultant, go through and modify the numbers, add in construction management fees to that, and then we had to go back to our original contracted vendor, which is Airport IFE Services out of Wyoming. They had provided us updated costs and validated Javiation's costs. That total was $1,100 to get that total cost so that we can submit the final application to the FAA for the design of that runway rehabilitation and lighting replacement project. By doing this and during that $1,100 additional fee, we're able to get the construction management portion on there, which it was about an increase of $348,000 to the contract. But where this year the FAA is, because of COVID, they are paying 100% of everything. We wanted to get that included in our application so that it was 100% paid for instead of us having to pay 10%. And so that for you commissioners is the entire consent agenda items.
Regarding the minutes, I was reading that at the end, under commission report, I stated the proposed plan of shipment uranium ore to White Mesa uranium plant from foreign and interstate. That was my statement there, but the other one is regarding the food service amendment. I was looking at it, and the contract, the original contract was $690. They increased that to $230. And that same paragraph on the fourth line, it says total new total is, I believe, 960. But adding up 690 and 230 only adds up to 920. Somebody's miscalculation. I just want to bring that one up
Okay.
for the record.
Okay.
Got that, Mac?
Yeah, we can go through and make those changements on those minutes. And if you want, we can table the minutes for the changes, or we can just make the changes ourselves.
Hey, with those amendments, actually, it's just the
Changes, yeah.
Yes.
change.
That would be changed, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, with that, do I have a second to get the motion to accept the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Call for the question.
Thank you very much. We have minutes that we have.
Calling for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Aye. Thank you very much. We have minutes that we have approved with the corrections on it. And next one there, Matt.
So the next one is
That's including
I'd recommend just making.
A, B, C, D, E, F.
so your motion included A, B, C, D, E, F?
I will.
I'd
Yes, he
recommend
has.
making another motion to approve the consent agenda items. That'd make it cleaner.
Who made a motion on the consent item?
I did.
Okay, all we need to do is ask them to recognize that, so that way we can proceed with it.
All right. All those in favor?
Motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion by Gray Eyes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you have it, Mac.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. The next item on your agenda is the recognitions. This is a presentation on the recapture and McElmo Bridge projects. This is kind of an update of the status of both of those projects. We'll turn the time over to TJ if he's on. TJ, are you there?
TJ.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, take it away.
Okay, on both of those bridge projects, they are in for final review right now from UDOT. July 13th is the date on the final review, and then they'll open a comment period up for 7 days. And then after all that's done, the final oversight will be on the 29th of July, and then it'll head to the board, UDOT's board, on August 3rd. They're hoping to open the bid by September 15th and have a notice to proceed on October 15th of this year. Now, there's a few challenging things that they have on McElmo. One of the stipulations of NDOT is that they'll only allow them to be in the river October through February. And so if they don't get a bid quick enough on things, then it'll push that project back until October of 2021 through February of 2022. And they're doing the bid process, both projects, at the same time, so that to make it easier to find somebody to bid, as both projects are in remote locations for the scope of work that they're asked to do. And so that's kind of, that final completion date for whoever bids is February 28th, 2022. And that's the reason for that is the October through February that they'll allow them to be in the river. And so that's where that project sits. So it's moving forward. Just waiting on some final review of the plans. Any questions for me?
Question, Elmo is the one coming, what would I say? Below the bridge across to Red Mesa? Elmo Wash. Or is it no east? Which side is it?
Are you asking what bridge it is in McElmo?
Yeah, location of Elmo, as opposed to the bridge, Red Mesa and Montezuma Creek Bridge.
It's east of Montezuma Creek.
Okay. When they're talking about going to the river, is that?
Well, yeah, it's the McElmo Creek is what they're going to be working in, and they want it to be low water, and that's why they're doing it that time of year, because there's usually no water in it, or very little at that time of year.
Oh, okay. All right. That's,
I think, Commissioners, just another one, just so you're aware
Understood.
that we are receiving
Yeah.
hints from,
oh,
that
yes.
those projects.
All right. Any other comments?
I think, Commissioners, just another one, just so you're aware that we are receiving hints from UDOT that those projects may have considerable cost overruns. And so we also want to make sure you're aware of that as they continue forward, they're already starting to hint that they'll be running out of money. They won't have enough to cover it. But we really don't know the severity of that until we go out to bid on the projects. And so we know that with design, that some of their estimates are showing that, but we'll hold our breaths until we actually get the bid back. We're hoping, because of the COVID and the oil prices, that cost of asphalt will come down, but just know that some of the design things that they're showing, we may have to come up with some additional funds for these projects. And they're also committing to go back to the feds to receive more funds as well. We're hoping as the U.S. government continues to go and explore additional CARES Act funding, we're hoping as they fund transportation projects, we're hoping that they will fund transportation projects in supplemental 4, that we can add this more to that if there are cost overruns, but at least wanted to give you that heads up as we go down the road.
Anything else, TJ?
Other than that, all I have.
No, just an update for the commission.
All right. Well, back to the presenter.
The bridge at Mexican Hat, and they started yesterday. And so there's gonna be alternate
Anything else, TJ?
on that bridge.
No, just an update for the commission. The UDOT's also rebuilding the bridge at Mexican Hat, and they started yesterday. And so there's going to be alternate lane closures on that bridge, on the highway. And so just so you're aware, travel wise, they're going to put up a whole bunch of signs and stuff to make the public aware. But Natalie Randall's going to do some stuff on the economic development to let tourism and stuff know the closures and when they are. And so just to let you guys know that that's going to be taking place the next 3 to 4 months.
We appreciate for the info.
Second,
Anything else, TJ?
second.
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, motion to accept the report.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gray. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have any last comment or any action? If not, all those in favor in accepting the report?
First one on here
Aye.
is this.
Aye.
proposal.
Thank you very much, TJ. Keep up the good work. And the next item,
Just as a reminder.
Okay, Commissioners, you're on the business action number 5. First one on here is the Stellar Arch name proposal. This was tabled in your June meeting. Just as a reminder, this proposal is to make Churchill the name Stellar Arch for approximately 40-foot high, 25-foot wide, unnamed arch on Utah Trust Lands Administration lands in San Juan County. This arch, according to the applicant, was discovered by him in 1993. He's been using that name, Stellar Arch, since then. He claims that the arch was simply named for its stunning beauty and magical presence that is perfectly formed in an unlikely spot on the Colorado Plateau. And so we thought that Stellar Arch was appropriate. This applicant from Boulder, Colorado. This goes through the United States Board of Geographic Names, who has name rights for significant things like this. So on the application, what the U.S. Board of Geographical Names is asking you is to either approve the proposed name or reject the proposed name or consider an alternative name. And so we just need to finalize that, our response to them and submit it back to the U.S. Board of Geographic Names.
Thank you very much, Mac. Do I have a motion for the discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Adam. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Grayas. Okay. The question before you is, do we go ahead and support the name that's inscribed here, or I feel that the community should have a crack at it to propose a name for the arch? So it's up for your discussion. Commissioner Grayas.
At the last meeting, June meeting, we were presented this proposal, and stating my concern, I indicated that the Navajos and the other tribe, like the Ute tribe, were in their area for many, many years prior to discovery. In that instance, I went ahead and tried to solicit input from the Navajo Nation and also from the Ute tribe. Nonetheless, no response. With that, I'd like to recommend that, and I talked to the sponsor who lives in Boulder, Colorado. So twice we communicated. Yesterday we had a long discussion on it, and he feels that any change would be a plus. So he asked me if there was a Navajo translation to the stellar, the word stellar. So I say, yeah, I probably can think of it in the meantime. So that respect, we would accept, he said, any changes or additions. So my idea is to insert Nizhoni hyphen stellar art.
So
with that recommendation,
I guess I'm trying to figure out.
I second.
Are we proposing the name to be Stellar Arch or another name?
Okay. Anything else, Bruce?
So are we, I guess I'm trying to figure out, are we proposing the name to be Stellar Arch or another name?
I feel that the
we're trying to reject the
Ted Nizhoni hyphen stellar art.
it sounds like we have a new name for it. And we're trying to reject the stellar arch. But if there's no recommendation...
The application says approve the proposed name, reject the proposed name.
It's not rejecting, it's just accepting a new
What Willie is
wording.
proposing is considering an alternative name. So
very well aware.
the application says approve the proposed name, reject the proposed name, or consider an alternative name. So
Yes,
what Willie is proposing is considering an alternative name.
Right.
Willie's proposing to keep the same name, but addition to that, put a Navajo word.
It's not rejecting the word seller, it's just an alternative.
A beautiful area in Natsustan.
Chair.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not rejecting the word seller. It's just an alternative name, which I would insert Subdivision hyphen Stellar Arch.
That's exactly what Bruce and I are saying. That the way the wording was requested for us is to reject and come up with a new name. But you made a modification to keep Stellar as is, but you're adding a language to it, which is beautiful rock. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, Mr. Adams. And you made a correct move on the issue to your question was, do we keep the name or do we delete the name? But the motioning party wants to keep the name, just addition to it, due to the fact that there was no interest in coming up with a name for the Nassau community. But I know that there's a lot of things that happen and beautiful things that transpired from the beginning of time to our cultural and people. Nasha Najoni or something like that. But Tenajoni, I guess we'll settle for that. That's a recommendation for the individual that resides in Natsushan.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
It's not only the Natsushan community. I wanted response is from Ojeto, and you know all the time that there was a tabling motion for the other chapters, for the other 6 chapters to comment, to make a response, and even to the Navajo Nation. So those are the areas that I tried to solicit input.
Okay, well, you can only do what you can do. Any other comment, Mr. Adams? Commissioner Adams?
No.
Okay. Now, what we have before us is addition to what Settler, Arch, and Senajoni has been inserted into the language that was recommended by the individual. So therefore, that's the recommendation that was brought before us. So now we take a vote. All those in favor?
Before the vote, could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, what's your understanding of my proposal? Because I wanted to make it right.
So what I just put a note down here that I was going to have you email me the spelling on it. I have 2 different enunciations between you and Commissioner Maryboy. The one I wrote down was Chet Mazoni. I just want to make sure that I have that right. And so we would then be marking on the application to consider an alternative name Chet Najone, Stellar Arch. Is that right?
Right. That's right.
Okay, I would just need the spelling.
Okay. I'll text you.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
Okay, now we're going into a vote just to let you know, and for the history, the naming, the four Stellar Arch, meaning beautiful rock. So that's inserted. Now, all vote for those in favor.
Next Vortex.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, Matt. The next item B.
Okay, item B, you have the next Vortex managed SIP trunking contract. This will be presented by Trey, who is our IT manager. Hello. So we had the opportunity to be able to change our phone service. Frontier has been our long-term phone service provider, but they haven't been the greatest, as everyone knows. I've been able to find a phone service provider that is able to support our members and provide us phone service for significantly less than what we're paying Frontier. I have totaled out all of our phone bills with Frontier, and we are currently paying Frontier over $11,000 a month. As we look to switch to this other phone provider, we will be able to use our own phone system that we just recently put into the courthouse and be able to extend it out to county buildings. So our main hub would be here in the county building. The cost for this new phone provider would be around $600 to $700, depending on what numbers we end up putting over.
Part of this, we will be working with the CARES Act.
So the cost for this contract is $675.50 a month. And then part of this, we will be working with the CARES Act funds, which is another presentation later on the agenda, to cover all of these items. And so we're taking it from $11,000 a month to $675, significant assistance with our budget.
Commissioner Boyer, back on.
Any questions from us?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Marable, are you back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Adams. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Gray. Any last comment? If none, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Next item C, caregiver.
Okay, this is caregiver. So the next several items are Tammy's. This one here is a caregiver program contract to purchase home health services with the following care providers. You have Rockland Home Health, Lions Way, Home Watch Caregivers, and Comfort at Home Care. I turn the time over to Tammy.
Good morning, commissioners. How are you all today?
Good.
Good. It's that time of year that I bring in contracts with home health providers. These contracts allow us to contract with them to go into the homes of our seniors and provide in-home care. So that it's just a basic contract that they can provide either respite, homemaking, personal care. So the caregiver contract and the alternatives contract are basically the same thing. It's just for different programs. And it is for those 4 home health providers that are licensed to provide this kind of care. Do you have any questions for me on it?
Let's establish a motion. Do I have a motion to
Motion to approve.
for discussion? Motion by Commissioner Adams for approval. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The next item is your item 2, Tammy, item B.
Yes, so we did the caregiver. The alternatives is the same. It's just for a different program. It's us providing the contracting services for those same in-home health agencies.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Adams. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Gray. Comment, Tammy. How much involvement do you have with the retirement home that we have in Blindwood?
That is regulated by the state of Utah. We do have this ombudsman that goes in the home and makes sure that everything is running the way it is, but I don't have any oversight or anything with their programming.
I would ask you to see if you can provide a letter to the state of Utah, maybe along with the with Mac. There's a huge concern that arises from last week to now. They have a staff that was infected by the virus, and even the staff knew about it. Nobody said anything until yesterday. They found out that some patients or the elders have caught those virus, and now they're just now dealing with the staff that were infected. And I guess they don't monitor the workers as they come or leave, or the visitors. Maybe the state needs to make them start monitoring those that come by and visit those people at that facility. It's under the county, and I sure hate to be going to that somewhere down the road, even though it's a private owned operation, but I think we still have a responsibility to say what needs to happen there.
I understand, and just to make you aware, I have notified the state aging director of that situation as soon as I was notified of it. So the state aging director is aware that we have an issue there, but I will work with Mac and we will come up with a letter.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Along with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the last one, item D, item E, is my state of Utah aging contract. So this is a brand new contract. We're starting a new fiscal year with the state of Utah, and this contract will be in place for about 4 years. This contract allows us to provide all the services that we provide: home delivered meals, congregate, our in-home programs. So it is a new contract, and they just are asking us for a signature for it so we can continue services.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion by Commissioner Adams. Before I go to Willie, did you vote it as well, Bruce, on the last item?
Yes.
Okay, I only heard Willie Gray. That's why I'm asking. Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams and second by Commissioner Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You have a good day, man.
You too.
Okay, Commissioner, the next item on your agenda is item F, which is the Cal Bluff Memorial Airport Year 96, $150,000 of entitlement funds transfer agreement to Logan Airport. similar to last time where you had taken 55,000 of our entitlement funds and transferred those to Spanish Fork. The FAA recognized that we still, even with our project this year, that we still have entitlement funds that are just sitting there, and asked if we were willing to transfer those 150,000 out to Logan, who then next year will transfer those funds back to the county. And so this is similar to how we talked about last time, the horse trade. They're asking for that additional. We don't need those funds this year. With our design and everything that's taken place, we have enough to cover that. There was about $700,000 in entitlement funds that were sitting there. And so that's what this agreement is for.
Okay. Commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Motion and second by Commissioner Gray Eyes, and approval is what Commissioner Adams asked for. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next item.
Next item is Lee's Smoking Hot Barbecue beer license for your consideration. This is John David, our code auditor, will present these.
Good morning. I have a new
Good morning.
beer license application from Lee's for a business, Lee's Smoking Hot Barbecue. This is a new application that we've not received before, as in like renewals from other establishments. But this establishment is on the south side of Blanding, outside of the city limits. They have filled out, submitted an application, letters of recommendation. They have a beer bond, and Sheriff Torgerson has also looked at the location and is okay with this with this application. If you are, we just need an approval.
I'm sorry?
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I have not heard any.
Motion would be in order.
Objection from Blanding?
I'm sorry?
Any objections from Blanding?
I have not heard any.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion for approval by Commissioner Adam and second by Commissioner Gray Eyes.
That is me also.
So motion and approval is requested for all those in favor.
We have a contract
Aye.
renewal.
Aye.
For
Thank you.
SSBG,
Next one,
which is
Department of
Social Service Block Grant.
Human Service.
We receive funds.
And that is me also. Each year we have a contract renewal for SSBG, which is Social Service Block Grant. We receive funds from the state to cover activities by the aging program and by Salmon Counseling. They submit
which happens every year. But the amount,
they pay for certain services, and then we submit a reimbursement to the state for those services that were provided. And again, this is an amendment which happens every year, but the amount that we're being granted this year is $38,635. We just need an approval from the commission to accept this contract.
Motion to approve?
Second.
thank you very much.
Motion by Commissioner Gray Eyes and second by Commissioner Adams. Any
Next item on the
questions?
agenda is the September
There be none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
Commissioner, the next item on your agenda is the September 2020 oil and gas lease sale for commission consideration. This one will be presented by Nick. Turn the time. Nick, are you there?
Hey Nick, are you there?
No presenter.
Just a second. Let me see. You might be trying to get unmuted.
Just a second, we're checking his office real fast.
Hey, Nick, are you there? Hold on just a second. We're checking his office real fast. Last time he had a hard time with his phone as well.
Hey Nick, you there? I see you're unmuted, or muted, and unmuted. Right, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right.
You there? I see you're unmuted or muted and unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right. You have a summary sheet of the oil and gas leasing for September. And these include parcels in San Juan County as well as other field offices throughout the state. There are 17 of the parcels are within San Juan County, and that's just under 25,000 acres proposed for leasing in the Hatch Point, Flatiron, Behind the Rocks, Cane Creek areas. And these, all but one of those parcels were analyzed in the 2016 Moab Master Leasing Plan, as well as the Moab 2008 Resource Management Plan. So all leasing would be in accordance with those plans. These particular leases are either no surface occupancy or they have timing limitations for wildlife species. And there's also a cultural stipulation that allows BLM to modify any proposal if cultural resources are found during an inventory at the application to permit to drill stage. So BLM can either modify and go so far as even to avoid or disapprove any activity, even though it's within the lease. So there's a map that goes with that shows you the locations of the parcels within San Juan County, and a letter that would comment on the oil and gas lease sale with an addition to reference to the Energy Zones House Bill 393 and BLM's unsigned finding of no significant impact is just that there would be no significant impacts on the human environment, and an environmental impact statement is not required. Leasing would be in accordance with the San Juan Resource Management Plan as well as the state of Utah's Resource Management Plan.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner Adams for discussion.
Okay, motion for discussion only.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner Adams for discussion. Do second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gray Eyes. Okay, the discussion.
Yes, why is EIS not replaced?
Because the analysis in the environmental assessment found that there would be no significant impacts to the environment. An environmental impact statement is conducted if there are significant impacts to the environment. Now, that's not to say that none of the analysis.
those studies made in the house of the BLM?
You were cutting out on some of that, Commissioner Gray Eyes. Could you say that again, please?
Was those EIS done under BLM as in-house assessors?
This was done by the Bureau of Land Management, yes, in the Utah State Office, as well as input from the field offices.
So those were in-house, not on contract.
That's correct, in accordance with the approved resource management plans.
I have a question of those when they say there's no significant finding.
No.
There are, as I understand, close to proximities of proposed drilling sites. You have, or we have, archaeological material that are evident. So why is that not considered? Maybe they just go to the site that is proposed with the understanding that the contract or the ground will be disturbed just only within a certain amount of surface material. I don't know how they do it, but nevertheless, they are within close proximity of archaeological material. I just want to make that known at this time.
Well, the whole process is multiple steps, or at least a two-step process. Leasing itself will not cause any impacts on the ground. Now, if the lessee decides to develop that lease at some time during the term of the lease, which is 10 years, they make an application for a permit to drill, and that would be for ground disturbance. At that time, either BLM or the lessee would be required to do a cultural inventory of the proposed disturbable sites. And if cultural resources were found, there would be mitigation applied either to avoid that site or make some type of change so as not to adversely affect the cultural sites. So at this point in the analysis, this is just the analysis of the leasing, which is no impact to the ground. So that's why they can make the statement that there is no significant impact to the environment, or human or otherwise. Further,
on the assumption, the site will be impacted, whether they will go ahead or not. That's the understanding I have.
There would be no impact to the ground until, and
yes, I know.
APD.
That's the tricky part. Until such time when they become decided on to get an application going. So that's the trick to every process from BLM.
The APD approval stage is where all the analysis of the detail on the ground, the site-specific analysis would be conducted. And it could be that BLM would decide not to approve that application because of certain impacts. But the leasing itself would have no impact on the surface. Additional work would be done after the leases are issued, and that would be at the APD stage for the detailed on-the-ground assessment.
Well, no matter how you look at it, there's going to be disturbance.
And the question would be, that disturbance is significant.
Kenneth, this is Commissioner Adams. Because the leasing is not going to disturb the ground or
Any other
do
comments?
anything to the ground, I see no reason to oppose the leasing.
Kenneth, this is Commissioner Adams.
The leases are sold.
Commissioner Adams.
And it brings money
Because
to the state
because
and
the
the
leasing
county
is not
when those leases
going
are
to
sold.
disturb the ground or do anything to the
So
ground. I see
don't
no
see a reason
to oppose the leasing.
this step,
The leasing, the leases are sold and it brings money
and
to the state and the county
permission for
when those leases
whoever
are
buys the
sold.
lease to go ahead and do any
And,
disturbance of the
So
ground.
I don't see a
until they
reason
make an
to oppose
application to drill.
this step, which is called the leasing step, and doesn't give permission for whoever buys the lease to go ahead and do any disturbance of the ground until they make an application to drill.
Thank you. Very well put. I'm going to be calling for the question
I
here.
disagree with that. I
but,
don't think that's a true statement.
You all need to know that once the lease is sold, it's going to be very, very unlikely that the BLM would tell the leaser it didn't drill. So it's going to be a situation. So with that, I'm hoping that someday we'll be able to send a letter, just as well as what Grand County and Moab and Grand Canyon would. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed?
So I have a tie vote on that one.
Aye.
Aye.
So we've got Commissioner Adams.
Any abstention?
In favor and support of the letter. We've got Commissioner Grayeyes
There you have it, Mac.
voting against supporting the letter.
So I have a tie vote on that one.
How's it a tie vote?
So we've got Commissioner Adams voting in favor and support of the letter. We've got Commissioner Grayeyes voting against supporting the letter. We're just missing your vote.
Okay.
Commissioner Grayeyes and I, we both voted nay.
Okay.
This is item J, COVID FFCRA.
All right. The next item on the agenda.
As we receive
Okay, the next one you have,
for the CARES Act.
this is item J, COVID FFCRA, the FMLA leave and CARES Act funding distribution. As we receive our allocation for the CARES Act, this is the first round.
Where and what that distribution looks like.
We're anticipating receiving $729,365
So originally,
from the state. We just need to figure out where and what that distribution looks like. The cities and towns of San Juan County, they received their own allocation. We worked. So originally, when I presented this to you, we had noticed that Bluff did not receive an allocation. Blanding and Monticello did. And we've been able to work through the state treasurer's office for Bluff to receive their own allocation. And so the county doesn't have to distribute any of those funds to them. They'll be distributed along with the other cities in San Juan County on their own. And so what you have before you is the proposal of how we broke up, how staff has proposed to break up the $729,365. As a reminder, the total proposed amount that we could be receiving out of the CARES Act would be $2,166,601. The state, they're anticipating another release possibly in August. And even on the agreement originally, it had mentioned that this is the possibility of receiving all the funds, but it's kind of up to the state legislators how they want to do this. What they're really watching right now is kind of the COVID and how it reacts here in Utah, and our efforts that we need to make throughout the whole entire state to whether we need to send the state needs to send additional money to certain hotspots, or just present other ways to combat the COVID. And so that's kind of why they've broken it up into different distributions. They wanted to wait and see how everything reacts. You still have the due date by November 30th, and so holding out longer makes it a little bit more difficult for us. But right now we do have this $729,000 that we can go ahead and spend. So what we're proposing to you today is to spend $45,000 to go to administrative costs. Now this would be hiring additional staff to help with the grant distribution. Earlier this year we had talked about hiring an administrative assistant. We had held off on the budgetary and the process itself, and so we may be able to use part of those funds, that $45,000, for that to help with the administration and distribution of these. So far we've calculated $17,405.90 in lost wages due to FML, employees being out, employees who have come in contact with people who may have had COVID, and we've quarantined them for a couple days to see if they developed symptoms. When we found out that they weren't symptomatic, we've allowed them to come back to work, but there is cost associated with that. And so these lost wages are across the board in San Juan County that we would apply these funds to. We're anticipating $92,683.45 to go towards communication costs. This is a communication combiner. And so what we look at, all of these are regulated, where the funds can be distributed towards communication with our first response, our ambulance, as well as our sheriff, our EMS services, fire. They've had a difficulty with radio communications throughout, and so that's one of the things that we'd like to fix. We feel that that's relevant with COVID, trying to communicate. If we've got somebody on the outliers and cannot communicate through our VHF system, we need to update that combiner to do so. The 911 training system, as dispatch, as people call into dispatch who may have COVID, our scripts and material that we have currently is not up to date, and it needs to be up to date. When we do receive a COVID call, they'll be able to adequately and accurately go through those scripts and tell our citizens of what we need to expect, what they need to do, and circumstances, and that training system will get us up to date. It's about $37,683.45 for that system. Also, to be able to communicate out to the citizens, we're applying some of that money to our website so that we can update that and better communicate not only our agendas and minutes, but also the virtual portion of it, and just kind of have a little bit better design and organization to how we communicate these updates, things like that, to our citizens. We're asking for a portion of that money to go to senior center meals of 40,000, emergency management to receive 40,000. Our county telework, and this is a big one, $109,365 of that to go to our CAD system for a remote license for one of our employees. Our phone systems, not only at the admin building, but also at the sheriff's. Everything will be on a VoIP. And then you have the commission chamber technology so that we can make sure that we have adequate spacing, so nobody will be able to sit at the table anymore. And with you, they'll be at a podium, so we need to fix the technology in that. Do you have a question? Okay.
We got to establish a motion before we do any questions or comments.
That's no problem. I heard that you guys interrupting on there, so I want to make sure. So we got on here the department head commissioner laptops. If we have to close back down, we want to make sure that we can continue to communicate with our department head. I had sent you guys out a email asking which you prefer, whether it was a Dell computer laptop or Surface Pros. So just look at that email that I had sent out. We're planning on $15,000 to go to substance abuse and mental health. They've received CARES Act funds, very little, but what they really need is just an outside interview space for clients. As clients come in, they're pretty leery about wearing face masks. So they've been meeting them outdoors, in other remote locations. We'd rather them meet close to the facilities in case something happened, then they would have other employees there to watch and monitor these interviews. And so 15,000 will go to them. Got 6,000 that'll go to the libraries. This is in response for keeping the library services at Meadows Mountain and Montezuma Creek going. So the school is closed down, but we had part-time people under contract that we continue to pay through the COVID. And so this will reimburse the library system for that move that they continued there at Navajo Mountain and Montezuma Creek, as well as future PPE. We're proposing 40,000 to be given to the jail. Portion of that is the feasibility study. A feasibility study, although it's not COVID related, if we do get a COVID case in our jail system with our nursing and everything else, and you guys had seen that on the tour, there's really not a segregation from general population. There's not an isolation area. And so we need to really start working on getting accurate numbers so that we can start presenting that remodel and addition to to the jail over there. So we had anticipated that to come in roughly around 20,000. I'm still waiting for those costs to come back. We're anticipating doing $250,000 in grants to our businesses throughout the county. We've always worked with the state and our regional partners on grant funding, but this is in addition to what we've already been working on now. So $250,000 to businesses in forms of grants. And then in addition to that, we're anticipating and would like to provide funds to each of the tribes and the chapters. So we got the Ute tribe on here, which would be near White Mesa. Would like to give them $5,000. Aneth chapter, $10,000. Red Mesa chapter, $10,000. Mexican Water chapter, $10,000. Ojado chapter, $10,000. Navajo Mountain chapter, $10,000. Techno Post, Tisnos Post for $5,000, and Denahotso chapter for $5,000. And then we would like to keep in reserves for right now that $8,910 in case one of these goes over or under. We'll be able to move around some funds. keep a reserves there just in case something happens and we need to quickly reallocate some of these funds using those reserves. In the packet, I've provided you a letter that would be sent out to the different departments or agencies or entities who will be distributing these funds to, so that they're completely aware of the rules and restrictions through the CARES Act funding that the United States Treasury Department has placed on there. So it's just a reiterating those rules and an acknowledgement that they're going to stay within those rules, as well as some reporting requirements back to us so that we can keep track of what those funds are spent on. But in the future, on additional allocations that come to us, we'll bring back modifications to this and additional funding proposals. But so far, with the amount that we're receiving, this is what we would recommend for your approval today. Any questions?
Motion.
You made a motion.
Second.
Question. Mr. McDonald, how much positive impact will this have on our fiscal year budget? We had a shortfall that we had anticipated. Would that be somewhat of a plus for us at the county?
It will not, Commissioner. In the agreement and the United States Treasurer rules, we could not use this CARES Act funding for shortfalls. We can't use it for something that was already budgeted in a line item. It has to be directly related to COVID. Whether or not you purchase PPE, we can reimburse ourselves for that, or positioning ourselves to be able to respond more quickly to a pandemic, which is your communication side of it, preparing for future pandemics. You can spend the money towards that, but you cannot spend the money for shortfalls in your budget. They specifically mentioned that in the rules and regulations of these funds. We're hoping that in future allocations, they may come in and lift some of those restrictions, because really that's where a lot of counties throughout the United States are expressing concerns and issues. Is like, we have shortfalls in our budget and we can't use these funds for that. And so it makes it a little bit difficult. So we're hoping that they relax those requirements, but so far they have not.
Let's have light. We should be able to express our recommendation to the money gate holders in Washington.
Yes. I've been attending the NACO, so the National Conference of Counties. I've been attending their conferences that they hold regarding these CARES Act funds, and a lot of counties are pushing that same message to the state or the U.S. Senate, Congress to relax these. It's not necessarily to fight COVID that counties are needing. It's the effects of it on their individual budgets that are having the issues, and so that is definitely being communicated through NACO.
Okay. Well, prepare something for us at the next meeting to consider.
Okay.
My recommendation. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments? If there be none, all those in favor?
None.
All right. Okay, the next one, K, subdivision approval.
Okay, this will be presented by Scott. Scott, are you on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay, so this subdivision is the Sunset Meadows subdivision. It's off Browns Canyon Road, south of Blanding. It's a 9-lot subdivision. It's been reviewed by the county officials, a surveyor, as well as the planning commission. Everything looks ready to go for it. It just needs a signature from the county commissioners.
Approved. Okay, motion for approval has been requested by Commissioner Gray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, with no comment, questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Mac, the next item.
Okay, item L on here is the county response letter requesting denial for Energy Fuels Resources USA Incorporated. Amendment number 10 of the 11E to byproduct license number UT1900479 and a modification to groundwater quality discharge permit number UGW3700004 to the DEQ Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control. This letter, like I mentioned, is asking you to submit this letter for public comment representing San Juan County for them to deny the Energy Fuels request to amend their current permits there on the White Mesa Uranium Mill site in San Juan County, just outside of Blanding and near White Mesa Ute communities. The letter on here goes through several reasons why. One of them is we're concerned about the long-term effects of such an operation, which requires tight regulatory controls and constraints. It acknowledges the long-delayed, limited, and unfinished cleanup of the mines, the mill tailings, ponds, and other contaminated areas, which continues throughout the county today, decades after the uranium companies have left their toxic waste in San Juan County and Grand counties. Many of the areas of the county remain contaminated and toxic to humans, domestic livestock, and wildlife. The drinking water sources contaminated by the uranium and oil extraction industries are currently unfit for human and animal consumption, requiring residents to travel outside miles away in order to obtain fresh, uncontaminated drinking water, and hauling that water miles back in order to sustain life and proper hygiene due to the unrelated contamination of the past. This way of life will continue, but there's no reason to continue to add more. What the overall gist of this is, Energy Fuels is requesting to amend their byproduct license to allow more alternative feed material. So this is uranium material to be imported into the county, into the mill. They currently import feed material already, but this is in addition. They already import as far away as Canada, but this will be in addition. This will be a 10-year proposal to import 2,200 tons of uranium from Estonia and a mine there in Colorado. Trying to think of anything else. So the entire letter is in opposition for that, importing of additional alternative feed material, but also requesting the independent review of the mill tailings management system, which there's a lot of concern that we've heard expressed regarding the cells and the cell ponds that are out there possibly leaking the materials that are used in those. And so the request is not only that, but the independent review of the mill but also opposing the amendments and the modifications to their license. I think that's about all that I have on there. The letter's pretty lengthy, but fortunately for us, the DEQ, that Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control, this had actually expired in July. Due to COVID, they've allowed for additional public comments to be made, and so that's what we're doing at this time.
Motion.
Commissioner Maribor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Motion by Commissioner Gray Eisen. Do I have a second? Going once. Going twice.
The next item.
Item fails.
Commissioner, is the addition of item number 6.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Okay. The next item, continuing on, Commissioner, is the addition of item number 6, your Commissioner reports.
Okay, Commissioners, which one of you would like to make a report?
I will.
Commissioner Gray Eyes.
Yeah, for tomorrow we had scheduled a Navajo revitalization meeting, but that has been postponed due to no proposal from the 7 chapters. Further notice will be available. Wednesday, we have a shipment of food assistance coming to Untitled Chapter. We will be working with the local public residents and packaging distribution. So that will be at the plan for Wednesday. And Friday, we have 7 County Infrastructure Coalition meeting, 10 a.m. So it'll be done on the phone conference. So anyone want to listen in, it'll be available or request that from the 7 County Commission. That's it. All I've been doing is mostly working with the chapters on chapter business and proposals, thinking about submitting some of those for funding. So
that's
about it.
This week I have a virtual meeting.
Thank you.
With the Community Impact Board on the 15th. I have a virtual meeting with
Commissioner Adams.
Yeah, on the 9th this week I have a virtual meeting with the Community Impact Board. On the 15th, I have a virtual meeting with UAC on amending their policies and procedures manual. Since NACO has been canceled in Orlando, those are the only 2 meetings I have this week, this coming week.
That is?
On Wednesday, failed to mention, Mr. Chair, Gray, to include in my report that the Native American leadership will be having I believe, Zoom meeting on the 16th at noon. That consists of Native American Board of Supervisors, commissions, all the way from Hawaii to New York. So there's a number of people that, and the chairperson is Lena Fowler. So tune in. I believe you're listed, Mr. Maryville.
I'll be darned.
Look for this information.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Gray. Hey, Mac.
Yes, Commissioner.
What was the vote on item L?
Let me get back to it.
No second, so that
That one failed. No second.
There was no second?
You had called that.
No,
motion.
you had a motion by Commissioner Gray Eyes, no second, so the motion failed.
Oh, I will second that because I thought somebody already seconded that.
Go back and.
No, you had called that it had failed with no motion or no second to the motion.
Well, I'll just make it known that I second that motion with Gray Eyes.
Okay, so do we want to go back and?
Yeah,
For another.
After you called the item back to the floor.
Okay, motion to recall the item L.
Any abstention?
Now,
I
motion by Gray Eyes, and I will second that.
I don't know.
Okay. Any abstention?
All those in favor?
Thank you very much. So,
No.
okay, Commissioner Adams, no. So, all those in favor of item L?
Aye. Well, motion.
Yeah, you already made a motion.
Again.
You made a motion. Okay, motion by Gray Eyes. And I will second that. And Commissioner Adams, no?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I oppose.
Opposed, Commissioner Adams, no abstention. There you have it, Matt.
Okay.
My report consists of being local. We just barely had another funeral. One of my cousin brother passed away as a victim of COVID-19. We've laid him to rest last week, Friday. And other than that, it seems like the holidays went very well. A lot of people at the ponds for fishing, and kind of sad to see how people are kind of away from each other. Never seen that in San Juan County before, but nevertheless, it's still here. And we have a chapter meeting that's coming up that we will be addressing some issues with the trust fund. And I believe that the NRF meeting is that today, Willie? I think it's today. But nevertheless, I'll be around.
Motion to adjourn.
And any other questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. And thank you very much. A motion to adjournment would be in order.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Adams for adjournment. Do I have a second? All those in favor that want to go adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day. And catch you next meeting.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Bye. Okay, Adams, we covered everything?
Yep.
Yo, Willie. Yeah.